Announcing the bottom of the hour here, it is the Vegas Take coming your way live, 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDWN here in Las Vegas. I'm Chris Wynn in for Brian Shapiro as well as JD. They'll be back tomorrow. Of course, there'll be a plethora of topics to get into. I'm actually going to be meeting them later on. I'm going to be heading down to the Orleans Arena as the West Coast Conference Championship tournament has started up, as well as a number. Look, this is a great month, particularly here in Las Vegas, because you have all these championship college basketball tournaments going on as we get set for the big dance. And my next guest is well aware of that. Very pleased to have on former NBA star Mike Miller. Of course, he also had a tremendous career in high school in South Dakota as well as at the University of Florida. And we can definitely talk hoops with this guy. Very pumped to have him on. Mike, we appreciate the time. Thanks very much for joining us out here in Vegas.
No worries, Chris. Thanks for having me on, pal.
Yeah, well, I got to start at the very beginning because I had a chance actually to cover you. I worked for the CBS affiliate down in Orlando, Florida for a few years back in the mid-2000s and covered the Magic and your experience there. But how does it that a guy from Mitchell, South Dakota, end up in Gainesville, Florida, Mike, and playing for Billy Donovan at Florida? It just seems, you know what I mean? It seems like kind of a weird transition for a guy to make that move.
No, it is. Obviously, for me, I had a lot of, fortunate to have some good options coming out of high school, and I fell in love with Coach Donovan and Pelfrey and Grant, Donnie Jones. They had a great staff, great young staff with a lot of ambition. And, for me, I took a trip in the wintertime to Florida, coming from South Dakota, and it helped seal the deal. But it's a combination of a lot of things. They were excited about building something special and building a culture, and I just wanted to be a part of it.
I'll tell you, that it is a great experience right there in Gainesville, Florida, that a college town through its fullest. Obviously, it would be people think of it as a football school back then, but now, of course, with the emergent what Billy Donovan was able to do there, the multiple national championships in the mid-2000s, and it really has become more of a basketball type school.
Yeah, he did an unbelievable job because when he did get there, it was a football school, and it takes a lot of belief and a lot of hard work to go get players that fit his system and to build something like he did and to build something that's sustainable like that. I think it's easy to come in and build something quick and be in and out, but it's really hard to do something sustainable. And after a couple of years, we had a chance, obviously, our team to play for a national championship, and then years after that, Joe Keem and Corey Brewer and Al Horford, them came back and went back-to-back championships, and he just did it. He built it the right way, and he just put so much hard work into it, and he had the right people around him. To do stuff like that, it takes an army. All hands on deck, and he had the right people around him. Had a great university, and changed to what was once just a football school into now, a football and basketball school, and passed the torch on to Coach White.
Yeah, we're on the verge, of course, of March Madness, Mike. We haven't, there's going to be a chance, an opportunity for these college basketball teams to get into the Final Four. As you mentioned, you experienced that back in 2000 as your team went to the Final Four and played in the championship game against eventual champion Michigan State. But talk about that experience, what that was like to play in a Final Four to be a young guy like that and to be, on the precipice, basically, of college basketball, of what it's all about.
Well, it's the greatest time of the year. I mean, for me, it's an unbelievable platform that changes. You don't really realize it when you're in it.
Yeah.
But it's a platform that changes the course of tons of people's lives. You know what I mean? It changes players' lives, coaches' lives, the university, what direction they go into, and it just has that opportunity. It's 6 games, and to be able to buy in and test yourself mentally and physically and come out, the reward is coming out kind of knowing who you are and what you need to work on and how you can change. And it's just an unbelievable experience to do that with a group of brothers that you basically go to practice with, go to class with, you're around, 18 hours a day with. And so it's just a family atmosphere that changes lives. And it's an unbelievable experience, and you don't really appreciate it until it's gone. But if you're able to make it there and take that magical ride, like a lot of these teams will in the next couple of weeks, it'll be something that keeps you together for the years to come. It's a lot of fun.
Mike Miller joining us here on the Vegas Take. 17 seasons, 18 seasons, Mike. 17? 18 in the NBA.
Of them, yeah.
17 NBA seasons with the Orlando Magic. You played with the Grizzlies as well as the T-Wolves, the Wizards, the Heat. and Cleveland Cavaliers, as well as Denver Nuggets. We talk about a national championship, Mike. Of course, you are also a member of those Miami Heat championship teams down there in South Florida. Pretty remarkable experience, right? You go from Orlando, which is, in the transition there. And you had a lot going on with that team in that era. Of course, that was when Grant Hill was making the transition there. But obviously, the guy who you coach with right now, by the way, at Memphis, Penny Hardaway, was just leaving Orlando at the time that you came in there, right? And then, of course, you end up a few years later, 2010, you end up playing on a NBA championship team in Miami with some pretty quality basketball players on that team, Mike.
just a few of them. But you know what? It was so fortunate for me. I go to University of Florida, and after my sophomore year, decided to leave and to get drafted right down the road where you don't usually get to stay in state where you have a lot of Florida alum there. And it keeps you as a little bit closer to normal as possible. And to play with Tracy McGrady, Grant Hill, I had a chance to play with Patrick Ewing and Horace Grant and Daryl Armstrong, a lot of great veteran guys. And you learn so much, and it's those guys help you in the development. And I think it's so huge to have those people in your locker rooms. But then unfortunately, go through and play on a lot of teams. I didn't have the chance to have the success late in the playoffs like I wanted, and then found myself in Miami where culture is key and sacrifice and building things. And I learned so much there as a player. From Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra, and just the way they build things and do things. And like you said, I was able to play with LeBron James and Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade and Ray Allen, and just an unbelievable group of guys that were able to win a couple championships and be a part of a lot of exciting games.
And also, of course, you got a chance to play in Cleveland again as well, right? You got to play with James Jones and LeBron James, two of the guys that you played with in Miami. So that had to be pretty special too, as well.
That was. I mean, obviously, anytime you're with LeBron, and fortunately for me, he's a really, really good friend, and still helps with a lot of things today. Just to be a part of that, I mean, it makes basketball. It puts basketball at the highest level. And every game, you get the other team's best. The atmosphere is electric, and he just creates such a great locker room, and he's fun to be around. And to be able to be with him and play in 4 or 5 NBA finals with him, and just challenge yourself, like I said, mentally and physically. I think it was one of the biggest reasons when I had the opportunity to go to Miami or go somewhere else. I'm so thankful I chose that, because you're able to prove things to yourself that you just want to be put in those situations. And I'm thankful to those guys for that opportunity for sure.
Mike Miller joining us, star NBA guard, as well as a big-time player at the University of Florida, now an assistant coach with the Memphis Tigers, along with Penny Hardaway, another former NBA player as well, too. You mentioned LeBron, of course. A lot of the talk in the NBA today is about the situation in Los Angeles, Mike, of course, with LeBron and how he's dealing with it. I think it's safe to say there's some adversity down there as far as what the direction's going to be, and how LeBron exactly fits in there with him. You mentioned your friendship with him. Do you get this? Do you get the feeling? Do you get the feeling he's going to come out on the right side of things on this? Do you think it's going to turn into a much better situation in Los Angeles for the Lakers as we move into next season and beyond?
Yeah, I mean, for him, just knowing him and his personality and this adversity, the way he'll handle it, it's obviously tough for him. It's uncharted territories for him. He hasn't been on a team that's struggled to win games in a very long time, but he knew this going in there. We've had these conversations, and he knew what he was up against. And for him, it's about challenges, and this is a great challenge. Obviously, LA and the history of LA and the Lakers, you'd expect to turn the switch on him, but he knows that there's work to be done. But he's got a lot of confidence, obviously, in Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka down there, and he obviously has a lot of confidence in who he is and what he brings to the table. And the one good thing that he has going for him is, and I've seen it firsthand, is a lot of people want to play with him for a good reason. And so for him, it's a building process, and it's a challenge that he's welcomed. Is he happy about where it's at now? Absolutely not. But he knew this was going to be part of it. And so it's a great opportunity for him to really show people even more than he already has what he's about.
Yeah, Mike Miller joining us here on the phone lines. He's now an assistant coach with the Memphis Tigers. Want to kind of get into the coaching realm of it with you too, Mike, because obviously your brother, also a coach as well too. He's now down at TCU, but he was, of course, an assistant here in Las Vegas at UNLV for some years. So it's an avenue that is not shocking for us basketball fans to see that you're going into and pursuing. Can you talk about the relationship with you and your brother and how is this something that you guys kind of banter about, not only coaching philosophies but about possibilities maybe later on down the line of either coaching together or having head coaching possibilities that you may be taking advantage of?
Well, obviously he's meant so much to me, and he's 4 years older than me, and he's a great basketball player himself. So I was able to tag along and learn a lot from him. So that was, a great experience for me. And then, for him to be in the college coaching game and me playing for the last 17 years, just learning from him through the coaching ranks and learning that stuff. But it was one thing when I got done, we talked about it multiple times, is I've learned so much from. I had, obviously Billy Donovan as a head coach, Flip Saunders, Doc Rivers, Hubie Brown, Pat Riley, Kevin McHale. I played for so many guys and learned so many things, and just the difference between winning and losing, that I felt like it was an opportunity for me. And me and my brother both were raised with my parents, and obviously just, once you get to where you're going, turn around and help the next person up. And so a lot of these kids I'm recruiting now, and McDonald's All-Americans or great basketball players that their dream is to play there. I feel it's like my opportunity to give them that. I didn't need to get into anything, but it's an opportunity to help them and bring them along and share some of the stuff I did and, keep them in the right direction. I think obviously everybody makes mistakes and everyone makes their decisions, but, every step they're about to take, I've taken, twice. So just trying to help these kids to navigate. But it'd be a dream come true, obviously, for me and my brother to get together at some point. But we both have our own journeys right now, and we're trying to build teams that can to play in the March Madness. So we definitely bounce back and forth the ideas of basketball with each other all the time.
Yeah, and look, I think it's a great advantage for you along with some other players, Penny Hardaway as well too, guys that have been able to get through all three major basketball steps, whether it's high school, whether it's college, whether it's the NBA, and that's a perspective that you can give, to your players. And I think that, and obviously we all know it helps with recruiting, right? Because it's an opportunity where, I get a chance to be coached by a guy who played in NBA Finals and won NBA Finals. I get a chance to play with to be coached by a guy who went to the Final Four and played at a major college program, and and somebody like yourself who faced adversity and who was able to respond to it and to respond well. I think that's what gives guys like you, as opposed to, look, I'm not trying to disparage somebody like an Eric Spoelstra or a coach like a Dave Yeager, someone like that. You know what I mean? Someone who didn't necessarily have those same types of steps. I guess what I'm trying to say is it's just a different avenue, a different way to look at it. And I think a lot of college, young high school basketball players can respect that and are made better because of that.
No, obviously it's a great opportunity for the young kids, and one of the biggest reasons I do it, like I said, is to help. And for us, if you getting into this, knowing what you're getting into, if you're willing to put the time in and work hard and to get the right pieces around you, because there's obviously when you get into this business, like for example, like me, know what you don't know and get the right people around you that can help. And I think Penny's done a great job of that here and getting excitement and getting recruits in here. And there's something to be said for a kid, because there's always, no matter who you are or what your rank coming out of high school, going to college, there's going to be ups and downs. And there's a definite advantage to playing for a coach that understands what you're going through and physically, mentally, when things are going good, when things are going bad. If you can be open and honest with them and talk about it and have grown-up conversations about what they want to do and what they want to accomplish, show them how to get there. There's a lot of truth to it. For us, is when we say something about how it is there, they have to believe it. When we tell them how hard it is to get there, they have to believe it. And so for us to motivate them, get them to work hard and understand that, it is possible for them to do it, but it's hard. And we just want to build the championship culture and do it the right way.
And, of course, you're there at the University of Memphis. A lot of history there and a lot of recent history where there's been, a quality basketball team. Even you go back to Josh Pastner. Obviously, Tubby Smith was the coach there up until 2018. Now yourself and Penny have taken the reins, and it's going to be a lot of fun to see where you're going to be able to take that team and what direction you guys are going to be able to go, Mike.
Well, thank you. We've got a lot of work ahead of us. We're excited about what we're doing. Obviously, Tubby did a great job here and is a great coach. We had to get the excitement back in Memphis and build the brand up again nationally. And obviously, Coach Hardaway's done a great job with that, and we're continuing to build that. And we've had a pretty good year this year. We've gotten better throughout the course of the year, which is a credit to our kids and how hard they're working, and got a top 5 recruiting class coming in next year, so we're excited about that. But we got a lot of building to do, and we're doing it the right way, and we're doing it step by step to hopefully get something that can be sustainable and long-term success here at the school, which they deserve, because they do love Memphis Tigers basketball here in Memphis, so it's a lot of fun to see it.
Mike Miller, former Florida Gator, former NBA star, NBA champion, and now a coach. And we're very pumped to get a chance to talk to you, Mike. We really do appreciate the time here in Las Vegas. Good luck to you and your squad. AAC tournament on the horizon, right? You guys are getting ready for it?
We gotta get to work. We play on Thursday. We're excited about it. Should be a fun tournament. It's at home, so we'll see if we can pull something off.
Mike, very much appreciate the time. You have a good week, and we'll talk to you again soon, okay?
Thank you. Thanks for having us, pal.
Mike Miller, former NBA sharpshooter. Guy was deadly from downtown. Could knock down shots from all over, from deep. I remember I was down there. I was in Orlando, his rookie year in Orlando. And I didn't bring this up with him, but I, of course, grew up in East Lansing, Michigan. So I'm a huge Michigan State fan. Didn't really want to go that route. Didn't really want to, fill him in that I was all in on the Flintstones back in 2000 as they were able to win the first national championships at Magic, and the guys did back in 1979. But they were, hey, that team was fun to watch. The Florida team, Teddy Dupay was the point guard on that team. They had some, the big man who's slipping my mind. Big power forward, played in the NBA for a long time. And I think he's still in the NBA. Udonis Haslem, I think he was on that team. I think Udonis Haslem was on that squad as well, too. They were a fun team to watch. Didn't want to see him win against Sparty that night, but still, they were a quality team. He went to Orlando, and he fit in well there. That was the era when, of course, Shaq had already been gone, but Penny Hardaway was shifted off to Phoenix, and Penny Hardaway was the star of that team. They brought in Tracy McGrady, Mike Miller, and, of course, Grant Hill. Grant Hill coming off the injury, never really was the same guy. Still had a decent career for the rest of his career, but wasn't exactly, as explosive as he was in Detroit with the Pistons. But there was expectations for that team in Orlando. There was the thought that they could be one of the powerhouses in the East. And instead, it ended up being basically the New Jersey Nets for a couple years. And then it was that's when 2003, 2004, the Detroit Pistons emerged and ended up winning a championship in 2004. The Lakers, of course, were the team in the West as they won championships in those early 2000s. But Mike had a solid NBA career. Of course, was on those Miami Heat teams that were led by Chris Bosh himself, as well as, of course, LeBron James and Dwayne Wade. And then, I believe he finished out his career with Memphis and then the Cavaliers. So, but he had a solid NBA career, and I think he's going to be a good coach. He's a guy, I'm telling you, it's guys like that have had the experiences, that had a chance to play at the highest levels, whether it's in high school, college, and the NBA, that make the best coaches. And that let me put it this way, they garner the most respect out of coaches at both the college level, big time college level, and at the NBA level. And I think he's going to be one of those guys. So great to have Mike on here. I appreciate all your phone calls, by the way. It was outstanding, all of your commentary and your points being made with respect to Donald Trump and the pardon controversy with respect to, of course, Michael Cohen and we were talking about Paul Manafort as well as Michael Flynn and others. Time will tell. We will see what happens with the justice system and with the sentencing coming up of Paul Manafort this week with Judge Jackson. And there's been a lot of commentary here. Ari Melber, who's one of my favorites, actually, who is not biased, who is a attorney that's on MSNBC, was making rap references today. And he thinks that not Paul Manafort, Michael Cohen, and it was Paul Manafort. He thinks that he's going to be in the courthouse saying, "Sorry, Miss Jackson." Of course, the reference to Outkast from, I believe it's like 2002, 2001. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson, the song. Good tune. Anyway, so we'll find out what happens with Paul Manafort going forward and if he ends up getting more time tacked on to his sentence. And they will be back with much more tomorrow. Both Brian Shapiro and JD will be back in the house. Thanks to Johnny for helping me out today as I got a chance to roll solo here on the Vegas Take. Don't worry, though, because we've got two fine, outstanding broadcasters coming your way with Ken Thompson and Andrew Fishfane. They'll be taking over. It is SportsX Radio. They'll be breaking down all things, both college basketball and NBA, the NHL, that's going on tonight. And I'll give you some of their personal perspective on that. Also, I'm Chris Wynn, in for Brian Shapiro as well as JD. Thanks again to Johnny. Also, hit us up again tomorrow, 6 p.m. Pacific time. It all goes down again with Brian and JD. It is the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDWN. Thanks to all the callers. Thanks to JD. Thanks to Brian. Thanks to Steve. Thanks to Mike Miller, our guest, of course, former NBA star. Hope you have a great Monday night, everybody. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. It is KDWN, 101.5 FM, 720 AM.